Thank you. I would like to call this meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Redmond City Council held on Tuesday, March 26, 2024, commencing at 6:30 p.m. Council members in attendance are Councilmember Anderson, Councilmember Nueva Camina, Councilmember Stewart, Councilmember Salahuddin, and Council President Kritzer online. Is Councilmember Fields online? I can't. Is it? Okay. This special meeting is being held to interview Arts and Culture Commission candidates Michael Heavener and Pamela Waters. Chris Weber, staff liaison, will introduce the candidates. Chris.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. I'm both the Cultural Arts Supervisor and also happy to be the Arts and Culture Commission liaison. The Redmond Arts and Culture Commission is a 9-member mayor-appointed council-confirmed advisory commission. And the commission advises the city on arts policies and programming. We have 2 current vacancies and 11 wonderful applicants applied to volunteer to support the arts in Redmond. Thanks to all those candidates. The candidate pool was narrowed down to 2 finalists by a panel of current arts and culture commissioners, then interviewed by the mayor, and now before you this evening. Pamela Waters, an artist and arts organizer originally from Peru, but based in Redmond since 2019. She's a 2022 Public Art Intensive Eastside alumni. She designed last year's Redmond Lights shirt and collaborates regularly with Apex, Vala, RASP, Centro Cultural Mexicano, and so many other groups of artists. Also works at Nintendo. Pamela's point of view as an artist and connections to the local arts ecosystem makes her an extremely strong candidate. And Michael Heavener is a writer, photographer, website designer, and record producer who has lived in Redmond for over 40 years. He is former president and current treasurer of the Redmond Association of Spoken Word and has been involved in many other support and volunteer roles. Michael's historic perspective and long-standing commitment to the arts in Redmond will be valuable as a commissioner. And I believe both candidates will be amazing additions to the Redmond Arts and Culture Commission and recommend that they are moved forward for appointment at the April 2nd regular business meeting.
Right. Thank you so much, Chris. Would you like just to say a little bit about why you applied for this? Would you like to go, Ms. Waters?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Council. So I've been very fortunate to land here in Redmond. I didn't came with these expectations, but I've been able to really become part of the arts community in Redmond, and that's what's motivated me to become more involved and be able to have a say and have a voice in what's going on, with the arts and cultures in Redmond. So I'm very excited. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. And like I love arts. I feel like there's so much to that art gives us and can help also build community and makes the public space so much better. So I'm really excited.
Great. Thank you so much. Mr. Heavener?
Thank you, Mayor Bernie. Michael Heavener, as Chris said, I've been with the Redmond Association of Spoken Word since 2005. Laura Lee asked me to be the webmaster, and I'm still there, still doing the website. I started out with a degree in journalism, and I went into other areas of graphic design and arts and creative, everything creative. My mother taught junior high arts for 30 years, so how could I not be creative? And she would love that I'm here, and I have been blessed with being able to work with the Arts and Culture Commission over the years, and we've done a lot of collaborative things, Arts in the Parks, Poets in the Parks, Poets in the Park, and some other events, some little bit of work with Redmond Lights, everything. And I love Redmond. My kids grew up here. My kids went to school in Lake Washington School District and moved here in 1980, I want to say, 80, and have been here ever since. I've been involved in, my church is Redmond United Methodist, which of course does the open kitchen, and I've done some work with them and mixed sound for the church for a long time, and have done graphic design and written a lot of things, and want to publish a book in poetry. So I'm looking forward to being on the Arts and Culture Commission and putting my input, my oar in the water to help you steer into wonderful new directions and keep going in the directions you've been going. So thank you very much.
Well, wonderful. Thank you to both of you. Are there any questions for our candidates? Ms. Anderson?
This is one of my very favorite candidate positions because I always have a question ready for you. Also, thank you so much for applying. Really appreciate it. And thank you for serving the city of Redmond. My favorite question is, what is your favorite piece of art or art installation within the city?
Would you like to go first?
I have seen so many art installations and I've been involved in the arts for so long that every one of them has been just wonderful. I've had poetry displayed as arts. In fact, I've got a couple of entries in the coming art exhibit. I think of all the things that I think the city's done so wonderfully, I'm a train nut, a railroad nut. And when they took the railroad out, and I talked to the guy who was a project manager on that, and he told me, I said, what are you going to do with all this stuff? He said, we're going to turn it into art. And I went, yes, turning railroad stuff into art. And it's been wonderful watching that happen.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, that has been an amazing addition to our city.
And he has some poetry even, right? Like in the middle. It's really cool. I also love all of the art. I really like the pavilion. It's such a great space for people to even if there's no event, people sometimes like start dancing and stuff there. But it's also like great for all the events that we have in the park. So it's really awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much to both of you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you so much for both of you for applying, for taking on this position and serving our community. We're really grateful to have both of you today. I wonder, since you're both so engaged already in the arts and the community here in Redmond, I gather you're planning to join the commission with some amount of feedback for the city. So as you think of the arts community here in Redmond and the art that's been able to be produced for the city and what's coming on the horizon, what in your mind is working really well and where do you see some growth opportunities for us?
Thank you, Councilwoman Stewart. Part of my thing, having been a daily newspaper journalist and being involved in RASP, and RASP is having a little bit of a struggle right now getting publicity out. I think engaging the people of the community in new and better ways, or using the older ways, the tried and true techniques to engage people. I think publicity and publicizing the arts and the events and what the city is doing, and I know you're doing a wonderful job now, but I think everybody knows that we can always improve.
There's been so many new things that are coming now. The art walk was amazing. I did get a lot of feedback from friends and people that did it of how to make it better next year. So, but there are particular things. Yeah. We did. I remember I asked Nicole, and then she's like, "Oh, make them email," and they did email the feedback. I don't know what happened. It's very particular things. I don't have them like on top of my mind now, but like definitely there's been things I really would like, and I think there's this is kind of starting already, but I'm not completely aware right now of like a centralized way for people to access all the events that are happening, because there's so much going on like arts wise, especially in terms of events going on in Redmond. Like I'm always busy. I will have a full social calendar. But obviously, like it's my calendar. It's not necessarily everybody doesn't know that these things are happening. A lot of times, like I land into it like on the moment. Like I'm just walking by and I'm like, oh, something's going on here. So yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Wonderful. I really do appreciate that, and thank you both so much. I think something that our council is planning for and working on as we move into the future is we're going to have more than one very populated urban center. So you both referenced lots of events and the need to get the word out in the existing events that are happening in our downtown center. And as we build out our other centers and welcome the light rail and all of that, yeah, I just think that we look to you and your guidance on how to just keep going, especially in those newer neighborhoods. And I also wanted to shout out, Chris, thank you so much for your introduction. You described the process that these applicants went through, starting with their interviews from the existing commissioners. And I think that's helpful for the public to understand. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions for our candidates? Councilmember Nueva Camino.
To go from 11 down to 2, congratulations and thank you for applying. It is definitely a very exciting time in our city where we are growing literally by leaps and bounds. We have increasing diversity on all levels, whether that is culture, ethnicity, socioeconomic status. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible, and we are becoming so rich for the sake of that. I mean, it's just absolutely wonderful. As we're doing this, then of course there's going to be different input from our artists and different types of artists. How will you make sure that we have a diverse voice in our arts and culture?
First.
Yeah, I can go first. So I'm, this is really great because I'm diverse in the groups that I'm part of, and I bring like my own natural diversity. I grew up in Peru. I moved here when I was like 20. I'm 36 now, so I speak Spanish. That's my first language. I'm connected to Centro Cultural Mexicano, which has the Hispanic-speaking diversity of Redmond coming there, and for me, I'm part of so many different groups, and they all bring their own diversity that I like to kind of like keep my ears out, to hear what everybody is kind of like needing and expecting. I've been part of a few meetings where it was either the state or Key County also that asked artists what were their needs, and those were some diverse groups too, but there was still missing some other groups. I think just being active and like being aware of everything that's going on, like all the different things that are happening. I think that's how I can. That's what I can bring.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. I've been saying all along, and I'll say it to you now, I know every one of the candidates, and you could not have gone wrong with any of them. That would have been, and they're all very dear friends of mine, and that's the beauty of what I see in Redmond is that I like to say when the threads in my life come together in different ways and seeing different people and different things, and we've done RASP, and I've seen you at Cultural and out on the street doing the other things, and we're all doing all sorts of different things, and I guarantee when you start to get that kind of diversity all coming together, that better things are going to come out of it, and we'll all grow, and the arts will grow, and I like to say that if you love art, you're going to be a good artist, and I'm going to say that my definition of art is if it causes you an emotion, then it's art, and I'll go even more to say that if you're a good accountant and you can do a dynamite spreadsheet that people love and address and they recognize, you're an artist. So I don't think art is limited to just people who paint or draw or write or take photographs. I think art is everyone in the city. We reach out to them, we find out what they're good at, we find out how they want to express themselves, and we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Kretzer has a question.
Hi, thank you so much for applying for this role and volunteering. So excited to get your expertise. And apologies, I can't be there in person with you tonight. Um, just a quick question, kind of a follow-up in some ways to the previous. So, part of the role of commissioners is to make recommendations on all kinds of different public art related decisions and arts and culture related decisions. Weighing a lot of different factors and a lot of different voices and perspectives often. So I'm curious to hear, how do you think about decision making in the context of making decisions that can, when you have a lot of different pieces of input?
Thank you, Council Chair. Getting a lot of people together means you have a lot of different ideas, a lot of different opinions, a lot of different ways of accomplishing things. Art is the same way. I see art my way. You may see art your way. When we get together, again, with all those threads coming together, the decision-making comes in saying, how do we merge that? How do we get that together? How do we put something out, making a presentation to the city that people from the city recognize that the city is investing well in the arts, excuse me, that they're bringing the right people together, and that Redmond will grow from the arts that we have now and that we will have, and that the decisions we make are aimed at helping the city grow the arts and grow as a community. So.
Thank you. I think a big part making decisions as a group is listening to each other, listening with empathy. I think if we can keep that empathetic ear and consider, all the diverse opinions and groups, and then come to what will work best. And what would make, as Michael is saying, what would make the best sense for the community, to build community. I think that's what we can do. Thank you.
Great. You don't have to.
I have a question. I was
Okay,
also
thank
watching
you.
the time. Just want to make sure that we're respecting your time as well. But thank you so much for joining and for applying. I think it's always. It's not always easy to put yourself out there in a position. One thing that I'm really focused on, especially since I've grown up in Redmond, is how we're looking at our young generation, our youth, and seeing what opportunities we have for them. So how would you plan to engage younger voices in planning for art and the decisions that we're making for our future?
Well, talking about listening, I think we would want to listen to what they already, want to do. I know that there was one meeting where I sat and they had these high schoolers present this salmon mural. I don't know what happened to that. It didn't happen. Okay, but it was amazing, and I was so. Wow, that is also, by the way, one of the reasons why I was like, oh, I really want to be in this commission, because if I can get to to see this, it's so soul nourishing. But anyway, so yeah, I think I think they have already it's not like they're not little kids, they have already great ideas, and we just have to give them the opportunity to be part of it. Yeah.
Thank you for the question. As a Redmond resident, I've watched children grow up. I've watched youth grow up. I've watched them become adults, and many of them are artists. My children, of course, went to Redmond High. My daughter has a degree from the Art Institute. My son does too, but they both he went into video production. My daughter went into photography. That's been a real joy in my life, is watching them embrace the arts and become creative and put their creativity out there. We now have a grandson and a granddaughter. They both love to draw. They both love to color. I went down and I got some of that paper that you put on the walls, that you do charts, wall charting. I put it on the walls, and they've gone along with their pens, and they've marked and drawn some wonderful things. My grandson likes to write. He doesn't quite know language yet, but he types and he types. And he went out and told his mother or his grandmother. He said, I wrote this story, and she said, read it to me. And he told her, it's a whirlpool. It's a big whirlpool. And she said, and she handed it to me and said, now tell me what it says. I said, he told you it's a whirlpool. And I went down and got a piece of art that he'd drawn of a whirlpool, and we put that together. So bringing that out in young people, the other half of it to me is that at least once a year, RASP has a group of teenagers, high school kids, or we recently had a featured reading from several students from Digipen. They came in and they talked about their creativity and the art and the writing they've done. And oh boy, I just want more of that. That warms my heart. And I think getting you involved, and you three, and Chip, get Chris involved. Val is back in Redmond, which is wonderful to me, and I love displaying poetry, and they've had a few of my poems on their walls, and you can't get any better than a Redmond that has that going on with it. It just, we need to live the arts. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you both so very much. Thank you, Council, for your wonderful questions. I don't see any concern about putting you on the consent agenda next week. Great. With that, thank you again both very much for applying, for being willing to take your time out of your busy lives to share it with our community. Really appreciate that. And with that, we are adjourned.